Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Fantasy Show. I'm joined with Adam again this week to do the Week 5 roundups. We were going to be joined by Nathan. I think his team's, what's it called? Sir Shanks a lot or something like Shank United. But unfortunately, he's fallen down with the cold that everybody seems to have had.
I'm here. You can't understand me, but I'm here.
Yeah, you've had the cold as well. You sound like a lot better today. So
yeah, I'm a little bit better. Good. That's called Lemsip. That's what that's called.
Lemsip and Beechams.
Yeah.
So it's just me and Adam today to discuss what happened in Week 5. It's been a couple of weeks since we last had you on, Adam, and I feel like things have been going well for you as of lately. It seems like you've on a bit of a run. So, how are you feeling after 5 weeks of being the rookie?
Well, I have to say, after being accused of having an unremarkable team, I can't help but notice that I have just won 3 weeks in a row. Currently sitting 5th, I believe, in the league.
That's correct, yeah, with a nice little win streak of 3. Yeah.
There you go, you see it. Doing pretty well. I mean, really, it's Jamar Chase, isn't it? To be brutally honest.
Yeah.
He's come through for me, and he's absolutely flying at the moment. So I think because of that, it's going quite well. But I have to say, I don't know quite whether I will keep this trajectory going because, I've played some pretty weak teams over the last 3 weeks, and you and Freddie being 2 of them. So, I mean, that's, it's not really a shocker that I've managed to get a win.
I wouldn't call mine a weak team. I seem to be doing quite well on the old scoring gauge. I've only had 1 bad week.
And yeah, I mean, you're 8th. I don't quite know how you're 8th. I mean, it's kind of like, it's a bit immoral, really, that someone with a 2-3 record can be in the playoffs. But
I'm the best of the losing records. I mean, what more do you want?
I don't think that's something you should be shouting about.
I mean, 2-3, and I lost to Ben, who's top of the league 5-0 by 1 point. It could have been easily swing the other way, and I could be matching your score. But hey ho, that's the way it goes. But we do digress on where we stand in the league. So let's move on to some more topics. You know how this works now.
Can I just say, I do feel before you go into what you're going to go into and all of that, I feel that we do have to acknowledge that we no longer have a team who hasn't won a game.
Yes, I think we would got to that.
I think that's important.
I haven't checked this, but I don't know whether this is an actual thing. It might be or it might not be, but I'm pretty sure after a guest comes onto the show, they win that week.
Does that mean I win this week?
Well, you've already been on. I think the week that you came on, you won the following week when you were on with Tinch. Tinch won, I think, the week he was on. And Johnny, who was bottom of the league, 0-4, struggling, comes on the show and he gets his first win. So
he has been very unlucky, though, hasn't he?
I think if you listen to the show, we did discuss that. I mean, I don't think I owned up on here and saying like I didn't think his team was actually that bad, and we have given him a bit of a hard time. But that's Johnny. We like to give him a hard time. He wouldn't have it any other way. So we don't have anybody who's gonna have a winless season, which is quite nice. No one wants that. But we do have someone at the top, as we've just said, who's unbeaten. Do you see him being beat?
I think eventually he will be. I mean, you're going to end up with bye weeks, aren't you? I haven't. Let's have a look at his team. I think.
Yeah, I looked at his bye week. I think it's the week that I think it's the week that Tampa are on bye week is going to be.
Is he the one? Is he the Tampa Bay fan?
Yeah, he's the Tampa Bay fan. He's got Tom Brady and Mike Evans. They do a lot of damage on that team. I think if you're playing him week 9, I think it's my old man that's playing him. Then that's the best chance of beating him. But Derrick Henry equally could, score the points Brady and Evans would score by himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but you're going to lose your quarterback. You're going to lose Evans. Although, I mean, he's got Baker Mayfield who might be able to put in a decent performance for him. So it's not too bad. But I mean, if you lose them, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, isn't it, to maintain that unbeaten run? And he's got this week. He's actually, I think he's playing Johnny, isn't he?
Is he? He is. Yes, the brothers are playing each other.
And if you actually look at the projected scores, there's only 4 points between it. So it's not it could all go wrong on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, that could be an interesting fixture. If Johnny wins that one, I think there'll be some bragging rights in the Gilbert house. This is the first week, I believe it's the first week of the bye weeks. So this is going to be where the challenge starts for most people in fantasy. I know for me personally, I'm playing Freddie this week, by the way. So that could be interesting. I know for me personally, I had Russell Wilson go down with an injury. My backup quarterback is Matt Ryan. He's on bye week. So my 2 quarterbacks that I've got are both going to be out this week. So I've had to hit the waiver wire. And if anybody listened to the show last night, I was quite confident on the Jags beating the Dolphins this week. So I put my money where my mouth is. And I brought in 2 Jags players to my team this week.
Yeah, I mean,
Trevor Lawrence and Dan Arnold. So
it gives us something to be excited about for when we're there, so that's something you got a little extra.
This is a thing that every year I have not bothered about my tight end, and whoever the tight ends are at Wembley, I put them in my team just so I've got someone to watch. But the tight end position of lately has become too important to do that. Over the last couple of years, they're almost another receiver. They didn't used to be like that sort of 10 years ago. So, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm feeling quite good about my team. I'm feeling good about Trevor Lawrence. He's got better the last 2 weeks, improving. I think this is the one. This is going to be the game. I think Jags have got a decent record in London as well. So.
Are you? I know obviously you got the 2 Jags players, but you've got Damian Williams, Nick Chubb, and DeAndre Hopkins all questionable at the moment. Now, Chubb missed training, didn't he?
Yeah, we brought this up together when Tinch was on the show. Tinch brought it up, and I was going to talk about it anyway. The fact that so many people become questionable during the week. I know you said it wasn't really a thing for you. I don't think it still is a thing for you, but it's a thing for me every week. Johnny brought it up last week as well. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really sort of like there's nothing. And then all of a sudden, my whole team's questionable. It baffles me. I don't know whether it's because they're the key players and they're resting them in practice because they did take a little knock or muscles are sore, or we are getting a bit further into the season, so they don't want to wear them out. But I think both Hunt and Chubb are both questionable, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether they just set them out to rest them and they're going to bring them back in. But it's worrying for me every single week at the minute because all of my key players, Hopkins, Golladay when he was playing, every week there's question marks over of them. James Conner's usually got a question mark on him, and it's really tough for me to. It plays with my mind psychologically of whether I should pick someone up, whether I should put someone in off my bench or what. But I'm not sure. Like I said, it seems like week on, week out, you get to sort of Sunday. You keep reading on, and they're going to suit up. So, I'm not worried so much about those questionable players at the moment.
I was going to say because Freddie's got a lot as well.
Yeah, I spoke to him earlier today. We were having a little chat. It wasn't necessarily American football related, but it got brought up that Kyler Murray, Dalvin Cook, and DeAndre Swift were all questionable on his. I think Kyler Murray's is a little bit more serious than what we first thought as well. Apparently he's carrying a shoulder injury. So if it's his throwing shoulder, that might be one to keep an eye on. But again, it might just be one of those midweek soreness and they're just resting him and he'll be fully fit.
So do you actually think you're going to be able to get a win here? I mean, you are currently 7 points down projected. So
yeah, I'm kind of not really paying attention to the projected scores at the minute because every week I've been projected to score just over 100 points. Every single week they're going, you're going to scrape 100. And I think first game I scored 138. Then the second game I scored 144. I think last week I scored 146. And I scored 146 with Kenny Golladay going off in the first half and Russell Wilson scoring 8 points and breaking his thumb and tearing tendons. So, that score could have been massive if not. So I'm quite confident in the players that I've got. I think Marquise Brown is good for a 70-yard touchdown every game. If nothing
I think
else.
he is now. I think the way the Ravens are playing, it's like we were talking about it a little bit last night when we were talking about Lamar Jackson. It's like because they keep coming from behind, all of a sudden Marquise Brown suddenly
I think we're finally
better.
seeing that first round pick talent that we thought he might have with the speed, because every game he seems to be open downfield on his own. I mean, the game that he dropped 3 touchdowns, no one was anywhere near him when the ball was thrown at him. So it's nice to finally see that coming through, because I've always rated him quite high. So I've got DeAndre Hopkins, Nick Chubb, they're stable players. So I've got to have confidence in my team. I think it's going to be a tough season for me, but I think I'm gonna confident that I'll scrape into that playoffs with the average team. So I think I might be playing in the wild card weekend. So, but yeah, I don't think my team's bad enough not to qualify.
Plus, it sounds like a lot of the guys in the league will be more than happy to see Freddie at the bottom of the league. So
yeah, I suppose you got to meet a lot of the guys this weekend that were in the league, so you probably got a bit of a feel of what they're all like. And Freddie probably got slammed a little bit. So if I can take anything away from meeting you on the Sunday, and everybody said this as well, no one could surprise how tall you were.
I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall.
Hey, I've got a lot of small friends.
I'm just taller than all of you.
Next time I'm bringing Johnny, because he is tall. So yeah, that's the question marks over the players. That was one thing I was going to bring up with you, but I suppose the next thing we're going to move on to is we spoke about bye weeks, but waiver wire players. There's been a lot of grabs this week with a lot of injuries coming in. Was there any waiver wire targets you were looking at this week? Or
there was. I got one guy. So basically, Dallas Goedert has gone down with COVID, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I got rid of Gerald Everett because he's done absolutely nothing for me, and with Russell Wilson out, you kind of feel like he's not going to get as much. So I took him out and put Mo Alley Cox in, the Giant at Indianapolis. They're playing against the Texans this week, and I think that the Texans are ranked like 32 or 31 against the tight end. So I kind of went with it. It was a choice of him or Jack Doyle.
Yeah, I suppose it's tough when you're picking a Colts tight end, because my dad's always struggled with picking the tight ends from the Colts, because one of them has a big game and the other one doesn't, and blocks, and then the next week they'll flip it round and the other one will block and the other one will become the catching tight end. So it's really tough to catch them. But I do really like Mo Alley Cox. I think he's a lot more productive than Jake Doyle in the catching game. So and they do tend to hit him a lot more in the red zone. So
I think Carson Wentz likes a tight end as well, doesn't he? I mean, he always like when he was at Philadelphia, he always did, and with Zach Ertz, and you kind of feel like against the Ravens in that first half, I kind of felt like it's the first time that Wentz was fully fit and actually was starting to throw the ball and find his receivers. So I do feel like maybe it's not a bad choice, but it's entirely possible that Jack Doyle gets it all and I've picked the wrong one. It's kind of a 50-50 punt, but to be honest, because it was just the tight end position, there wasn't really a lot of great options to go for that
I think a lot of us took tight ends this week. Obviously, I did. We spoke about the tight end I've taken. I think my dad also required a tight end. I think he's taken David Njoku, who's had a. I think was it last week he had the big monster game.
Yes.
So I'm guessing he's hoping that they'll replicate that. I think someone took Max Williams as well. Again, it's something we didn't mention yesterday when we were talking about Arizona. The mouths to feed at Arizona is just ridiculous, isn't it? With Max Williams actually coming up with big numbers occasionally now. So
Ricky Seals-Jones as well. I saw Dan has taken Ricky Seals-Jones.
Is that because Max Williams has gone down injured? He picked up Max Williams. I'm guessing he's now injured.
I think that's what's happened. So
Ricky Seals-Jones. Again, that's someone that in a couple of years ago would have been a viable option to pick up, but he's not really seen the stats that he had of previous years. So be an interesting one. They've got a tough
Did you also see we had a trade?
Yes, obviously I have to approve all the trades. It's our first trade of the season, and it's managed to go through without anybody kicking off at me because I get the final say on trades, so I can veto them if I think they're ridiculous. Rather than this, usually it's you have to have the majority vote of the rest of the people in the league for it to go through. People weren't keeping an eye on them, and the most ridiculous trades were going through. So we decided to give me full power of veto.
God.
I've had to step in last season and the season before big time. There was a lot of collusion going on with there's a lot of real close mates behind the scenes of going oh mate, I need a quarterback this week. Should we trade and then trade back the following week? And they're going oh yeah, I need a running back. So there was a lot of that going on. So I had to stamp that out. But yeah, I think it's the first trade that's gone through where no one's had an issue with it. It was Robbie Anderson for Jared Goff. I've spoke to both the guys that were involved in the trade. Byron was the main one. I was a bit like, mate, you've got a lot of wide receivers already. Why are you taking Robbie Anderson? And hasn't he picked up Jacoby Brissett to replace Jared Goff?
Yes.
Odd decision because he now doesn't have a backup quarterback because Jacoby Brissett might be on the bench for the rest of the year now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing his logic is that maybe he thought that Tua wasn't going to come back quite so quickly. But there's talk about him playing on Sunday, which I don't know. Maybe he thinks he'll get injured again. Maybe he's not. He thinks he's not fully fit, so he's going to get hit again, and that'll be it. So he'll have Brissett back in. But yeah, it's a slightly strange one, but Brissett's all right. I can understand why I like Robbie Anderson. I think he's a really good wide receiver. He hasn't done much this year. I
think he started off.
The first couple of games were really
good. We were saying Robbie Anderson seemed to be the main target for Sam Darnold, and DJ Moore wasn't really factoring. But since we've said that, it's been all DJ Moore.
Moore, yeah. It's been really strange. It's kind of coincided with McCaffrey being out as well. So I don't know if there's something in that as well. Yeah, I mean, he's got Josh Allen, hasn't he?
No, Johnny's got Josh Allen.
Who's got Josh Allen?
Johnny's got Josh Allen. So Byron has got. Let's have a quick look.
Byron got? I thought he had.
Byron has got Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then. So
he's fine till bye week, which when's week 12? Are you bye week? Bye week.
I think it's later. I know that.
Yeah, it's later on. So he's not going to really need to worry about bringing in a backup. And if anything does happen to Rodgers, I'm sure Jordan Love's on the bench if he needed to bring someone immediately in for that reason. So he's going to be fine, I think, with that. But I think Matt panicked with his trade because he put a lot of stock into Daniel Jones.
Error.
So, which is odd for a Cowboys fan. But, you know, Daniel Jones did over the last few weeks has looked like a franchise quarterback. So I understand his thinking. He became a lot more of a runner, but you know, he went down with concussion. So I think he panicked and went, I need someone else. I need someone quick who's got someone that could be a starter. And that's where he's kind of gone in for Jared Goff.
He has got Tyler Heineke on his bench though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like I said, I think he's panicked because concussion, you're never out for too long,
a week at most. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater didn't miss anything, did he?
You know, if you are deemed to have had it quite bad, I think there's like a 10-day sort of period that you're not allowed to train or play. I think the best person to ask for that is Byron, because during his time at the Falcons, when he was at Leicester Falcons, he got concussion twice while playing. And he found out it's because inside his helmet, it was missing some of the pads. So people were hitting his helmet and he was feeling the full blow of it. But I think there's a protocol because he wasn't allowed to train and things like that. So, yeah, but you're never really out too long with concussion. So it's a bit of an odd one. Now you've got the feel of the league. You've met the guys. We're sort of 5 games in. Do you feel where people are sat on the table is about right? Is there anyone you're looking forward and think it's an easy win, or really not looking forward to playing against?
No, not really. I actually think that it's funny because, you know, like we said about Johnny, he's 1-4, but he's kind of been a bit unlucky. I feel like they've all got solid-ish teams. I mean, I would say Dak Street Boys, who we were just talking about, apart from Jonathan Taylor, I'm not, and maybe Darren Waller, although who knows what's going on there now for the rest of the season. There's not a lot in that team. So I'm not really like, I personally think that my team is pretty decent. And as long as I don't get any major injuries, which is probably what everybody is saying, really, then there isn't really anyone that I'm particularly concerned about. My only one who has been a bit of a letdown, so I took him out last week only for him to go absolutely mental, is Myles Gaskin. He's been awful. But I feel like my team is decent. This was why I picked him.
Yeah, Myles Gaskin was before the season was one that most people were saying watch him for fantasy. Like he's going to be a good pick. I'm not really sure what's going on with him because he's been RB1 for the Dolphins for the first 3 games, and then I think they promoted Malcolm Brown to the starting position last week and the week before,
and he went off.
He just went no reason. I'm not sure whether it's because they don't trust the O-line and they think that Brown is better playing with a weaker O-line, not creating the holes because he's bigger. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. And is Gaskins going to stay as the main running back, or if they not sure what they want to do?
It seems a bit weird. The whole thing, like we were saying, the whole thing at Miami does seem a little bit strange at the moment. It's just not really working for them. I personally think Gaskin is probably going to end up keeping it or coming back to it. I don't know. Maybe he's just not the workhorse they want him to be.
I've seen a lot of sell high targets, and Gaskins is on a lot of them. I think people are going, look, he's had one big week. Maybe it's time to now try and ship him off in a trade.
See, I think he will have a decent week this week. I mean, he's going up against Jacksonville. We will be there to see it. So, you know, I think he'll have a decent week. And, you know, because even as you've said before, with even if Tua is playing, it's not exactly like it's the best quarterback in the world coming back. So I think they're going to be a little bit reliant on that run game, and the defensive line of the Jags is not not the greatest against the run game. So I think that he will have a decent week. But just sort of like going back to the teams that I mean, obviously Pirate Bay, you know, I mean, there's a reason that he's 5-0. I think that's a tough one that's going to be there to play. The rest of them, I kind of, you know, I said on the draft there were two teams in the draft, and it was Pirate Bay and it was your father, Big Trev Manning, were the two that I felt really, you know, really did draft quite well, and I think they're in the top 4. So I think that's another one that potentially could be difficult. I mean, Byron's won 4 on the trot, so he can't be that bad. You know, I think
he's always really good. He's always got a good team. I think when you scroll a little bit further across in the league, and I looked at this the other day, and you look at the points for and points against, and that really gives you an indication, I think, of how good a team is. Because, you know, if you go up against, what was it, Nathan or Matt the other day that scored 170 and 180 points, you know, you could have a great week of 150 and it's going to go in the loss column for you. So I think when you look at that and you look at the teams, I think you're probably saying the team in third place, Matt Wagstaff, he beat me in week 1. It was a tight game. I think it was 136 to 140 or something like that. He's only actually scored 571 points.
Yeah.
Now, the only person that hasn't scored that, he's the second lowest scoring team in the whole of our league. The only other person lower than him is Ben's Hawks in 12th. So I think when you look at it that way, he's only conceded 593 against him. Is his team as strong as what it says? Is he very lucky to be in third place at the minute, where, like I say, he's only scored 571 points? When you look at the likes of myself, who you've mocked at being 8th, I've scored 620 points. So, I mean, you've only scored 500.
Yeah, I've got 571. Yeah. I think with a lot of these teams, to have, you know, a difference of sort of like 30, 40 points, it's not really that much. It's basically you've had one guy absolutely go off on 1 week and that's it. When you look at it, there is one that is just miles ahead. And that's the reason that I think it's the reason he's 5-0 and the reason that we're probably all going to struggle to beat him. And like you say, until you end up with the bye week for the Bucks, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge to beat him, because they might not look
over 100 more points than any other team.
Yeah,
that's a whole week's points. So and then when you look in the other column of 587, that's quite an average to be conceding. So he's not. We're not saying he's had a bit more luck like we think that Matt Wagstaff of Rules Deep has. Again, I think if you look at the bottom half of that and then say who's been unlucky, I think the two teams, I think the points for really, they deserve to be down there, bar maybe Dak Street Boys. But like I said, he did have one monster week. So I think when you look at the points for the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th, they're in the right place.
Yeah, I think most of them are in the right place. I just kind of feel like everyone is kind of where they should be to a certain extent. There's not enough of a difference from anyone in order to come out and say, oh, they've been incredibly unlucky, or they've been the only one is Pirate Bay. It's the only one who, you know, has been really good and got lots of points. The rest of them, they're all kind of in the place that they should be. And I think that when you actually look at it, it is very tight, and it probably means that you're going to end up with a league that's actually going to be quite close all the way through, and unless you suddenly find that some players, for particularly, say like one team loses 2 or 3 of their starters, that's the only reason it's going to change.
Yeah, I mean that's the joy of this league, really. The last 2-3 years, it has been so competitive, and right down to the last week, it's been going down to the 3 people not in the playoffs and the 3 people just in the playoffs playing for their spot. And it was all down to, I think a lot of people finished on the same record, and it went down to matchups for those last spots in the playoffs. And then anything can happen in the playoffs. You know, we are saying that I think we finish in. So the final will be what, week 16 maybe for us. We'll play 14 weeks when we play everybody, and then we'll start our playoff. So Ben's team might be, by the time he gets to the final, resting people. Who knows? Teams tend to do that. But yeah, it's been competitive every year. It's again why we're very selective of who joins. So it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. So why are you laughing at that?
I'm well, the fact you chose me, that's why I'm laughing.
You've got a big reputation.
I've got Tinch this week, so I'm looking forward to, you know, making that Raiders fans week a little bit more depressing than what it already is. So.
Yeah, he's been fairly quiet on the group this week, hasn't he? He's had a couple of little things in there, but he has been fairly quiet. And that's going to be a tough matchup. I think it's going to be a close game between you and Tinch.
Yeah, I think it probably will. I mean, like I say, with it's saying that I'm 9 points ahead, but you know, who knows? He's got a lot of players questionable, as we've already said. But yeah, I think it will probably end up being quite a close matchup, and I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, so next week, obviously, you know about this. We've got a very special guest potentially coming on next week onto the Fantasy Show. Will you be joining us for that one as well, or are you away? Or
I've no idea at the moment.
Yeah, so it could be a very interesting show next week with the special guest we've got coming on. It could be tears from one side of the camera and smiles from the other. So that's going to be an interesting show. So make sure you tune in next week, guys, because that will be a good one. Make sure you watch the main show. I feel like the one we did this week, there's some superb little notes in there. It went live last night, so go back and watch it. It's already out on social media already. Adam, you're still doing your gambling updates?
Yeah, I haven't done as many, but there will be one for the Sunday game, the one that we're going to. So there'll be one coming out for that, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more for you lot to lose your money on. So.
You've won people quite a bit of money already, so
yeah, it's not been too bad. I mean, I got the Hayden Hurst touchdodown. You know, I mean that was a decent price. So yeah, it's not been going too bad. So you know, don't shout at me when it all goes wrong, though. Yeah.
It won't go wrong. You're right. But we won't be like people phoning in going like, we want to sue the franchise tag. We've got no money left. So yeah, tune in, guys. Make sure you follow us, like, subscribe, all that jazz. We've got the competition results coming out soon for the Calvin Ridley jersey as well. But till then, best of luck to everybody in fantasy. Best of luck this week, Adam. Best of luck, me. But till then, see you soon, guys. Doesn't want to win today.